Hello everyone, this is Cobalt. This is the next video in my character analysis series for Brawlhalla. Stick around till the end to hear about entering the giveaway to win community colors, emotes, weapon skins, sidekicks, avatars, or even the battle pass, and voting for the next legends. And if you want to skip all this and get straight into the information, there's a timestamp in the description, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with the release of your favorite legend. In these analyses, I wanted to focus solely on the character's signatures. Light attack combos are covered much more in depth than I ever could elsewhere and function pseudo-comparably for all characters of that weapon class. So I'm not going to be discussing the general neutral of the character with their weapons unless it pertains in some way to their signatures. Firstly, I want to give clear descriptions of the terminology I'll be using. Startup frames are the amount of frames that happen after a move has begun until the first hitbox of the move becomes active. Active frames are the duration of frames that the move contains hitboxes that can collide with your opponent. FAF, or First Actionable Frame, is the first frame available where your character is able to move again after the move has been started. For all of this data, I use the character's jump to display the first actionable frame. Lastly, on miss refers to the move not connecting with an opponent, and on hit refers to the move making contact with an opponent. I'm going to be doing my analysis today on the next voted in legend, Brynn. Brynn is a Valkyrie, the daughter of the immortal Hypernia, who grew up in Asgard. She can spot potential in people and has selected several winners of the Great Tournament, breeding jealousy amongst her peers as well as not being viewed as a true Asgardian. Eventually, she began competing in the tournament to better learn about the mortals and their ways. Finally, just a normal origin story for once. Brynn's weapons are axe and spear. These two weapons have both been really good in the metagame right now, and her placements in both 1s and 2s have certainly reflected the quality of Brynn's toolkit. Her stat spread yields 5 attack, 5 dexterity, 5 defense, and 7 speed. Overall, a solid stat distribution, and a spread like this lends credence to a well-balanced and versatile character, and her weapons support this as well, with her spear being a solid combo weapon with capable knockout potential, and the axe offering her solid heavy-hitting swings. So, do her SIGs help her out in this capacity, or are her weapons alone enough to bring her to the top? Well, let's find out. Let's start with her spear. Spear's side sig has 23 frames at startup, active frames from 24 to 37 with an FAF of 64. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Brynn charges forward with the flap of her wings, extending her spear forward in front of her. This move has lackluster frame data, both in terms of startup and FAF, but it covers a pretty large amount of distance and will likely outprioritize most moves thanks to the enormous disjointed hitbox in front of it. Definitely has some solid utility despite being a little on the slower side of her SIGs. Spear end sig has 14 frames at startup, active frames from 15 to 27 with an FAF of 52. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Brynn aims her spear upward in front of her and ascends into the air with a flap of her wings. This move has really low startup and excellent coverage. It catches jumping opponents as well as those attempting to recover high really well, and it has pretty solid disjoint on it as well. It has reasonable active frames as well as an okay FAF. I think that this is a really good sig on her kit and that it has a good amount of utility. Spear down sig has 15 frames of startup, active frames from 16 to 45 with an FAF of 67. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. She spins her spear in front of her for a pretty lengthy duration, sending the opponent forward should the move connect. This move has pretty quick startup and a really high amount of active frames for nearly half a second of hitboxes. Due to this, it does have a high FAF, but this move offers quite a bit of utility thanks to its lengthy duration and quick startup. Not a bad sig in my humble opinion. Next up is her axe. Axe side sig has 22 frames of startup, active frames from 23 to 33 and 36 to 45 with an FAF of 66. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Brynn spins her axe in front of her with 2 distinct swings. This move has very average frame data. It's average startup, somewhat decent active frames, but a high FAF. And should you miss, you're in for a hefty punish. It's got okay coverage in front of her and has the potential to bait opponents not familiar with her in the second swing of the axe, but honestly, this sig is just okay to me. Axe end sig has 17 frames of startup, active frames from 18 to 26 with an FAF of 50. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. Should the move connect, it converts into a second swing with active frames from 41 to 50 with a new FAF of 70. Brynn swings her axe upward with a decent hitbox size, and if it connects, it converts into a second hit where Brynn swings upward a second time to knock her opponent upward. This move has decent startup and FAF, and has pretty good coverage both in front of her as well as above. This is a solid sig in my opinion, and it functions well for dual coverage to catch both grounded opponents as well as airborne ones. Axe down sig has 30 frames of startup, active frames from 31 to 39, and 41 with an FAF of 73. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Brynn jumps upward, then moves forward swinging her axe below her. This move has a lot of startup due to its travel distance and the upward movement, but it can be used to punish approaching opponents on the ground thanks to its upward movement. It has a high amount of end lag and resulting FAF, and she becomes grounded before she's able to move again, so this move is pretty punishable should it miss. It has some utility thanks to its movement, and could probably edgeguard opponents trying to recover thanks to its disjoint should you time it correctly. So overall, her SIGs are slightly better than average in terms of their frame data. Her Spear SIGs have significant amounts of utility thanks to their quick startup and coverage range. Her Spear neutral SIG is quite good, and it's really fast. The active frames that her Spear down SIG has are really beneficial, and the range and disjointed hitboxes on her Spear side SIG are really good as well. Her Axe SIGs, I'd say, are slightly more situational. Axe side SIG is okay, nothing spectacular in terms of frame data or coverage. Axe down SIG, I say, is very unique in terms of its utility, but it has utility nonetheless. Axe neutral SIG, I think, is her best SIG on Axe, both in terms of coverage, utility, and frame data. She's a really solid legend, I'd say, and the speed, coverage, and synergy of her SIGs, I think, complement that, especially since her Spear neutral SIG can combo out of sidelight given the correct read. And given its high knockout potential and fast startup, I think it's an excellent move coming off of a quick and useful move like sidelight. I'm sure that we're going to be seeing more of Brynn in the competitive metagame, and I think that her SIGs have quite a bit to do with that. Though, frankly, I'm not too big a fan of any of her skins, but hey, that's just me. Today's code to put down in the comments is simply Brawlhalla, along with your Twitter handle. Tune in Monday for coverage on the next highest voted legend from this week. Comment to vote for next week's 5 legends. This is the final video of the week, so I'll be distributing the prizes later this evening, and the poll will be closed later tonight, so be sure to get your votes in. I'll be continuing this once a day, Monday through Friday, over the next 10 weeks until all 50 legends are covered. So thanks for joining me on this ride. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the release of your favorite legend, and hope to see you back for the next one. Once again, I'm Cobalt, and thanks for watching.